Hey there YouTube, this is Lucifer Leg of Warden. Coming back at you with another video. And I'd like to start this video off with a quote from the movie The Conjuring. This quote is between Carolyn Perrin and Lorraine Warren at the 59-minute 30-second mark. Actually, I think it's the 35-second mark, but who cares? And the quote starts, "Why would a mother want to kill her child? Because it wasn't a child to her. She used her God-given gift as the ultimate insult to him." I believe I've just paraphrased that. But the influence is there. The exact intent behind that is there. For the past few videos, I've been speaking a lot about Satanism, the Satanic Temple, and their new abortion ritual. I'm going to now speak once again about them, and about the wording and the terminology that they choose to use involving this thing. Now, I'm going to be quite honest, the ritual itself really isn't a ritual. It's more or less just an affirmation, a self-affirmation. The girl looks at herself in the mirror and she recites their little tenets and whatnot, and it's a self-affirmation. That's all it really is. But they use the term ritual, and that's all the fundamentalist is going to hear. Satanist, ritual, baby being aborted. They're not even going to care if it's first term, or second term, or even third term. They won't care if it's a medically necessary abortion or not. All they're going to hear is satanic ritual and a baby being aborted. That's all that's going to go through their heads. And I made this statement multiple times over the past few days. But what I haven't talked about is how the Satanic Temple views this. Okay? They view it as perfectly okay. Obviously they view it as okay, or they wouldn't do it. Now, most Satanists, most occultists in general, trying to stay away from the abortion issue, and especially if they have to discuss it, keeping it away from their religious context. But the Satanic Temple has done anything but. They have actually made it completely about religion. Now, the argument that I have been making is that the Christian fundamentalists have, for decades, been screaming about Satanists using abortion clinics to abort babies in sacrifice to Satan. To literally using abortion as a form of sacrifice. Now, the Satanic Temple comes out with this ritual, which is supposed to be done in the first trimester. And it has this canonization of religious element to it that is supposed to be able to bypass certain restrictions in state legislature, which force a mother to listen to fetal heart sounds, look at the child on a sonogram, read material, and wait for like 73 hours, before getting the abortion. Any mother who wants to get an abortion, this stuff isn't going to change her mind. It's like I was just saying to a commenter who is a born-again Christian. He's doing his Christianly thing on me. Because I always get them whenever I start talking about Satanism, and the fact that I am a Satanist in a video. And I tell them, dude, you are literally preaching at me like you said you wouldn't do. I really don't care what your beliefs are, and I'm not going to convert because I don't want to convert. That's the thing. A desire to convert, in most terms. The desire to make a woman change her mind on aborting a child should already be there. And if it's not there, nothing's going to change her mind. Nothing is going to get in her way. That's the truth of the matter right there. But the Satanic Temple's public liaison to women's rights or whatnot, or bodily autonomy rights, whatever her name is, I can't remember, has literally come out and said that this is an these things that states put in the way is literally an infringement on their religious rights, and that the abortion to Satanic Temple is a sacrament. Yeah, she literally used the term sacrament. Let's explore this term really quickly. What is a sacrament? Well, when you look at the Christian definition of sacrament, a sacrament is a boon, a blessing from a deity, or in Christian term, from God. It is, receiving divinity and divine blessings from God. And it's normally done through Holy Communion. Literally, when you go and you eat the body of Christ and drink the blood of Christ, that's the sacrament. You receive sacrament. Also, you can receive sacrament through baptism. Being baptized, you can receive sacrament, and a number of other ways. And this woman, who is for the Satanic Temple, has literally stated that Satanic Temple members receive sacrament through the act of aborting a fetus. In this particular instance, she didn't even state that of a particular term. Just the simple act of abortion was a sacrament. This is not cool. I'm a Satanist. I've been a Satanist for far longer than the Satanic Temple has been around. I became a Satanist in the mid, 2000s. And it's not cool. So literally, she is saying they are receiving sacrament by aborting a fetus. That would mean, literally, not just figuratively, literally, the act of abortion is a sacrifice. It is an offering in order to receive a blessing. That's a very theistic thing for a group that, a very theistic thing for atheists supposedly to say. Satanic Temple claims to be atheists. And yet, they just said that they were taking sacrament from aborting a fetus. Literally not stating what term or what trimester the fetus is in, just that they take sacrament from abortion. Literally at that point, when you say that fetus, doesn't matter if it's first trimester, second trimester, or third trimester, is a sacrifice. It is literally a sacrifice to them. So they are literally sacrificing unborn, preborn children. This is not cool. Satanism, no. We don't commit blood sacrifices. We don't do that. I read an issue of the Cloven Hoof. I actually have it on my computer, where a couple, they were both church Satan members, they had a child, and this child had died of SIDS. And because they were Church Satan members and they were Satanists, the local authorities went bonkers and tried to do everything that they could to pin the child's death on them, saying that, wanting to say that they had sacrificed the child, that they had murdered it. Which they did not. It was an unfortunate thing, a very traumatic thing. They just lost their baby. This was a loving couple. And, there's even a picture in the article of the grave marker that they put up, and it was in the form of a trapezoid. And this was several years ago, and I believe I still have the article on my computer that I read it. It was from the Cloven Hoof. And, it was hard to read. It was very difficult to read because, you feel for the couple, and they're being bullied by law enforcement who wants to utilize the fears of satanic panic to have an excuse to put this innocent couple in jail. It really is something that we need to address. And Satanists have for decades avoided talking about sacrifices, and especially abortion sacrifices and whatnot. The earliest sorry, got a cat playing with a ball. Anyway, so Satanic Temple, Satanists, we've avoided this, and one of the earliest, it's ironic because the Black Mass in Satanism has been an iconic ritual that we do. I know I filmed 2 solitary Black Masses in my YouTube career, and I plan on filming eventually a full Black Mass for people to see. But it's ironic because the Black Mass its description came about from the trial of a woman named Levosine from way back when, and she supposedly performed these Black Masses and whatnot. She was an abortionist. Yeah. She was an abortionist in France, I believe it was. Paris, France. And I believe this was like anywhere between the 14 to 1600s. I'm not exactly sure of the exact date. It was right around the time of King Louis. So I digress. I think it was. Yeah, I'm not sure which King Louis it was. Either way, she was known to have all these aristocrats show up at her place and request this ritual be done, her to contact the devil and to strike a deal on their behalf. And what she would do is she was an abortionist, and she would take the fetuses and use them as a sacrifice, supposedly. I mean, they were already dead and everything. I don't exactly know how she would go about this. There's some contradicting reports, but during her trial, she described the first ever description of what a Black Mass looks like, and that's where we get our modern Black Masses, is from her descriptions. And she was put to death. She was hung. She was found guilty, and she was hung. And since then, that was the only time that Satanists really got involved with abortion, and there wasn't any real Satanists even then. Real Satanism didn't come around publicly until Aleister Crowley started tapping into Satanism with OTO and Order of the Golden Dawn. And even then, he flat out said, I'm not a Satanist, and neither are my followers. They're Thelemites. And so you'd have to come down even further to Herbert Sloane and Anton LaVey. Herbert Sloane ran Our Lady of Endor coven up until his death, and then the coven disbanded sometime in the early 80s. And Anton LaVey, well, his group is very well documented and is still running today, even though he's passed away in 97. And that's where, Anton LaVey is where modern Satanism stems from. Every modern satanic organization that is legitimate goes back to Anton LaVey, and he flat out stated that, no, we don't commit blood sacrifices, we don't hurt children, we don't use abortion in this manner whatsoever. And he stated that in his writings and whatnot. The 11th Satanic Rule of the Earth, or 9th Satanic Rule of the Earth, I should say, flat out says, do not harm little children. It doesn't say, do not harm white kids. It doesn't say do not harm black kids. It doesn't say do not harm preborn or, older kids. It just says do not harm little children. And that's a pretty good blanket term. That is a pretty good blanket statement right there, in my opinion. And Satanic Temple has gone out of its way to pretty much slander, ignore, and do the exact opposite of everything Anton LaVey wrote about in his documentation of Satanism. So much so that even the first book that Anton LaVey threw out, and you can find this actually spoken about in Michael Aquino's 50th anniversary of the Satanic Bible book, was Revolt of Angels. Very first book that Anton LaVey said, no, that is not what Satanism is about. And he threw it right out. Before anything else, that was the number one book that got tossed out. And Satanic Temple has that as their number one primary book of literature on their literary list. And now they have openly stated that abortion is a sacrament for them. And the only way you receive a sacrament from something like abortion is that the abortion, the child being aborted, the fetus being aborted, however you want to state it, is intended to be a literal sacrifice. A literal blood sacrifice. When we look into the Satanic Bible, there is a chapter on the question of a human sacrifice. Anton LaVey flat out shoots it down and says that the energy that is harnessed from a sacrifice is not from the blood. It is from the death throes of whatever is dying, be it an animal or a person. It is from the agony and the pain and the fear that creature is giving off, and the energy expended on it is being harnessed in the ritual. And he goes on to say that a good magician, an effective magician, and a well-experienced and trained magician can raise the same kind of energy through anger, fear, pain, sorrow, or sexual orgasm. Sexual arousal and orgasm in a ritual does not mean that he flat out states you don't need to hurt anything physically in order to raise this type of energy. He negates the entire need for a blood sacrifice, for a living sacrifice. But Satanic Temple wants to bring it back. Satanic Temple has literally told their members and the public press, this is actually publicly documented, where they compare an abortion to communion or Ramadan, and then flat out call it a sacrament. So all of the myths of Satanists committing human sacrifice via abortion, they are now proving true. With decades worth of Satanists proving it untrue, fighting their way through the Satanic Panic era, and proving their innocence time and time again, for the first time ever, this myth, when involved with the Satanic Temple, is true. And that is by their own words. Their own words. That they view abortion as a sacrament. Yeah. I will go back to my opening quote. Why would a mother want to kill her child? And the response is, because it was never a child to her. She used her God-given gift as the ultimate insult to him. In the eyes of a witch, they believe that it elevates them, or to a witch, they believe that it elevates them in the eyes of Satan. That is the quote at 59 minutes 35 seconds in the movie The Conjuring. Now, I will correct this. Satan doesn't want blood sacrifice, doesn't need it. Satan loves children and would not want any of them harmed. If the Satanic Temple was truly about making women's lives better, they would not be pushing for abortion, which at the very bare minimum is a D&C and can physically damage the inside of their uterus. At the worst, they could prevent them from ever having kids again. If Satanic Temple was truly genuine about helping women's rights and bodily autonomy, they would be promoting preventative measures, not measures that could physically injure them. They would be promoting responsibility to the responsible. They would be promoting not doing it at all. That is the hard truth. I've been called a Christian, a Zionist, and whatnot because of my stance on this. Believe me, I am anything but. I will state this last little thing. The Satanic Temple does not represent Satanism at all. They have flat out stated to me that they view Satan, the Church Satan and other Satanists as a completely different religion. They masquerade as us. We've been around for decades, openly. They've only been around since 2013. The Satanic Temple is a fictitious satanic organization They are a liberal, Marxist, communist-based group who seeks only to defame and destroy an established religion by mocking it. Mocking its rules, its tenets, and everything else with their 7 tenets. And now, for the first time ever, because of them, the myth, the legend, the fictitious story that we Satanists harm children and have them aborted in a form of sacrifice. This myth that was for so many decades just a story and a rumor is for the first time ever true. I am a Satanist. I am Lucifer Lake Borden, and I am calling this bullshit out. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Like, share, subscribe. Definitely share this video. And until next time, I'm Lucifer Lake Borden, YouTube's favorite ranting Satanist, and the TST's nastiest commenter. I'm out of here.